promote the crap out of your stuff so people go from here to there and everything. Oh, we have 2 viewers waiting. We have
Always
1
awesome.
likes already. Okay. Looks like we're live. Hey, what's up? It's John from Coding Addict, and welcome to another episode of Web Dev Power Hour live stream podcast. And as always, I'm joined by one and only the Mr. Paul Bratlovsky, the developer advocate, basically the face of the Strappy, the greatest CMS of all time.
Exactly, the greatest CMS of all time. By the way, I'm joined by legendary John Smigla, who also is a big Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fan as I am, so that is pretty awesome. He's got a nice shirt on over there.
Yes, today was awesome.
Now.
If you think why I'm in such a good mood, because after 1 year of like skipping, I'm finally back in Jiu-Jitsu, so yes, I'm doing really, really well. Paul is doing content on coding after 30. Again, his channel is coding after 30, and probably 20,000 times I'll mention that he has live stream right after this one where he's assuming gonna build stuff. So whoever wants to join there, just go and enjoy the coding. I believe it's gonna be that Dev Hunt, right?
Yeah, I'm building my Dev Hunt project with Remix and Strappy. A lot of fun. A lot of good buzz about Remix because it just got acquired by Shopify. So that's a pretty amazing accomplishment. So congratulations to them, because now that means that they're going to continue to build cool stuff. And I'm excited about Remix. Next.js is also awesome, by the way, before someone from Vercel sees this video and be like, oh, all he does is talk about Remix, because Strappy works with whatever framework you want. You want to use Vue, you want to use Angular, you want to use Next, you want to use Remix. I just love Remix, okay? I love Next.js too. So I have 2 projects with both. Currently, I'm just spending a lot of time with Remix. And now that Remix is bought by Shopify, I think there's going to be a nice niche building Remix, Oxygen. They're going to combine everything together, Shopify apps. So I'm kind of excited to kind of...
I wonder whether way they will...
weed into that niche.
Rebuild because I believe they came out with their own, I don't want to say framework, but something to build the Shopify front ends. And I'm just curious whether now they're just going to, do everything with the Remix instead. Yeah,
I think it's going to be a wrapper around like Oxygen is going to be a wrapper around Remix, I think, or vice versa. So they're going to work together. They're still in plans, but if you want to like get a head start, and because you like working with Shopify, definitely check out Remix at Remix Run, do their basic tutorial, and then check out what Shopify got in store. But I think I'm going to definitely make a bunch of content around that, because I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, no. It's very good framework. Yeah, if you want to check out some cool content, like I just said, be sure to visit Paul's channel, Coding After 30. And while you're there, be sure to smash the like button, help with an algorithm. And if you prefer us in a podcast format, you can always find us at webdevpowerhour.com. And as well, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just look for Web Dev Power Hour. And
the best.
If you just joined us,
ever, the best.
Ask us questions. If not, then we'll talk about our personal lives and our opinions, and that depends. Some people want to hear that, some don't. But yeah, if you want to know anything, just ask us anything personal, development related, or whatever.
Engage in the chat.
Yeah, engage in chat, talk to people and everything, and we'll try to respond as best as we can. How are you doing, Paul? How's everything?
I'm doing excellent. I can't complain. I'm going to Jamstack Conf in San Francisco, which is hilarious because I kept promising that I would go to San Francisco, and I never did, to visit you. And now I am going to San Francisco, and you live in Florida, so I'm gonna have to find a trip to Florida at some point. But by that
we'll
time,
have to find a conference
to somewhere else. Yeah. And then,
by the time you come here,
following you around. So going to San Francisco.
When is it?
Will be a lot of fun. It's on Monday and Tuesday, so it's gonna be hilarious.
So this Monday, Tuesday.
Yep, I arrived in San Francisco on Sunday.
Super cool.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
But are you talking, or you're just
no,
attending?
not this time around. Just like attending and then doing a booth talking about Strappy.
Oh, so you will like, so
not like doing a big talk, but we're going to have a booth. And
hey, that's fun. Booth is more than anything ever I could do. I would be scared of the booth. I would be like, no. Imagine
Yeah.
somebody comes over and starts like throwing some terms at you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like, yeah.
What did you say? That's why we have this guy Derek who's like way knowledgeable than I am, and so I kind of like push to make sure that he comes, and I like twisted people's arms to make sure that he's able to go. So he's coming. So I know that I could defer tough questions to him, which is great. Um,
Mhm.
it's good.
No, that's an awesome, definitely. Well, next week we know what we'll talk about. Pretty much, Paul is going to tell us everything what happened in Jamstack. So we
Yeah,
already
pretty
have a
much.
theme for next week.
Next week, yep, we're going to talk about Jamstack. You got a good shot at coding addict. I've done most of your courses. Thank you so much. Started on YouTube with your free course and then bought both Udemy because they're awesome. Yes, that is correct. You do have awesome courses. And then we have Marcelo saying hello from Brazil, which we were just talking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because we both do it and it's the best.
Yes, it is the
Yeah.
best.
Yep.
It's the best way to try to get back in shape. At least try. And I
Yeah.
make after 40, I make emphasis on try. It's
No,
not
but I
a,
think like everybody should work out. Like we mentioned a little bit last podcast, but something about working out on a daily basis kind of helps to level out your emotions and help you be productive. Once I got back to working out, which I haven't done for like 3 years, I've been just feeling better and being more productive, which is kind of interesting.
I
Yeah.
like the speaking of this one, like, and not to drop names here, but like pretty much I was listening to Joe Rogan. He's doing that sober October, and they have some kind of challenge between the friends where they're working out and all that. And I really agree with his thing where he said like I mean they were doing a little bit too extreme. They're doing like cardio for 4 hours a day, but he says by the end of it, like whatever negativity you had in here, it's gone. You're just like
Oh
I have
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much in a way less scale. It's for me. That's why I enjoy doing something because once you're done, then you're like okay, I like whatever I was like that 1 hour, 1 hour and a half ago, at least I'm not there. I'm like, okay, I'm clear. I know
Yeah.
what I need to do. So that's definitely why I enjoy also working out and doing everything.
Nice. Yeah. And if anybody has any questions about development, about anything, learning, whatever, let us know because these are pretty open podcasts. And a lot of times we just want to hear from all of you what you've been up to and kind of what you want us to talk about. We also have topics we want to talk about, but if you have something or questions, definitely ask because it's going to be great. So,
Yeah, it is Friday night here on Suncoast. It's 8:30, and if
yeah,
you're not asking questions, then you'll just have to see how the older people party, which is pretty
exactly.
much they're getting ready to go to bed.
Exactly. By the way, that's why we do this on Friday because that's how sad our lives are. That Friday is the time for us to kind
So
of have
some
these
people are getting
conversations
ready to go somewhere,
to go
but
out.
our
Yeah.
day is done.
Yeah, you're getting pumped up listening like, hey, I'm gonna go to the bar or whatever it
Yeah.
is people do. Yeah, no, like Friday and Saturday morning for me is like my streaming. If I do want to go out, like I saved Saturday night, but I typically just stay in. I've been like enjoying this show called hell is it called? Oh man, now I forgot what it's called. It's on Amazon. It's like some science fiction. When the name comes to me, I'll mention it, but I'll probably do that Saturday evening.
It's not those, not Lord of the Rings, but
No. That I gave up on that one. It's the
what
other
about
one's like
the
Ethereal
House
or
of the
something like
Dragon?
that.
Have you watched
That
that?
one is too dark. I can't see anything. I can't tell what's going on. The night scenes and all the dark scenes. My TV is just like doesn't get any brighter. So I'm like, what is happening? But it's a good show. I like that one. That one is good. But some of the scenes are like can't
Speaking
see
of
anything.
TV, we actually just got TV. We didn't have TV for like 3 months, I think. So
Nice.
it's, but I wouldn't say that I miss it. Like it was just something that it was like essentially when you move in the house, it's like okay, we have to get it, not because I really want it, but yeah. So that's something that will probably pick it up a little bit. What else? What else? Is Austin like really busy? I assume right nowadays. So Friday, Saturday, when you go out, it's I'm
Oh yeah,
assuming
yeah.
it's
If you go,
packed,
yeah,
right?
this is it's crazy. Yeah, it's a good place to hang out and great city life if you're young and into it. I
Mm.
mean, at my age, like I'm, gonna be 42, the advanced age of 42. It's like how much partying can I do? Like, just looks ridiculous. But if you're like, in your like 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, like 27, like whatever. It's a fun place. But hey, Joe Rogan is building a comedy club here, and he does a bunch of stand up here. So I might have to go catch some live shows. It'll be a lot of fun,
Live
you know?
comedy would be, I think it would be an awesome like way to
Yeah.
spend time. I think that's like unless you have like a good company to go to a bar, I think it's way better to, you know, to enjoy the evening because something is at least happening. You're listening to something and all that. Okay, I think we have 3 questions, so we can
Let's do it
slowly start knocking them out.
right now.
Okay, so I am Bonfas. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name, from Kenya, and right now it's 3:34 a.m. Yes, welcome to everyone who's joining around the globe. And I know that in some places it's already Saturday, so you
Yeah.
probably already
Welcome.
partied very hard, and now in the morning you'll start development, which is very very good. Uh, my question is, I've been following you through the React and got confused when started Node after a mess with React.js at the point of context API. I'm a little bit confused. Is the I got confused when started Node after mess with React at the point of context API. So the question is, are you confused about Node or are you confused about context API? I'm just, maybe if we could clarify that, and then
It's
we
by
can
the way,
come back.
it is 3:34 a.m. So I will cut him some slack. But I think like if yeah, please clarify the question. But I think like if you've done React and maybe like you finished the course, but you didn't really spend enough time with it to build few projects and you jumped into Node, you could start getting confused very easily. What I would say is like make sure you spend plenty of time in React before switching to Node, even though you have the course, just so you kind of understand what you're building, and then kind of put your React hat off and then just go through the whole Node class and then complete all the projects in Node, and finish that first to get a better understanding how they're different, right? And then go from there. And I think afterwards, like you have the MERN course, which I think is a great combination to kind of see how your backend using Express, which is node based, fits in with your React application. So I think that might be like another good transitional, but definitely don't rush. I feel like I was confused when I first started learning Node while still not really understanding like, you know, React. I think, yeah, slow down,
I have
no,
a,
no need.
can you believe this, Paul? I have an even better suggestion. When you finish React, you know what first thing you should do? You should find the CMS. You know which CMS you should find because
Strappy,
it's
of
going to be
course,
the
of course, of
closest.
course. I love it,
Well,
like the
I'm not
node
gonna say
piggybacking.
contentful, will
Strappy
I?
is the great. No, to be honest, it's another great point. Like, so a lot of people feel like you need to be a full stack developer to get a job, and I would argue that don't do that. And we talked last stream about it. Getting a full stack development job is very hard because by nature of all the things that you have to know, it's not a junior position. So anybody looking to kind of break into the field, what you have to focus on is like, what is the quickest way for me to do that? And for most people, it's going to be front end. So focus on developing your React skills, understanding how to be able to work with an API. You could work with GitHub API. I know, John, in your course, you'll use the Cocktail API, which is really good to practice with because you could, kind of understand how that works, and then jump into using CMS, which a CMS, a headless CMS, is basically a way for you to create an API without knowing a lot about backend. So you could create an API to which you could post data and you could use your React application and you could start building like full stack applications without yourself being a full stack developer. And I feel like that is, like John said, a really good intermediary step to kind of build some cool stuff, put some stuff in your portfolio before moving into backend. But my recommendation, don't go full stack uh, developer right away. It's too much to learn. Either go front end, and if you hate front end, then go completely back end, which means you're gonna do like mostly work with Node and databases or whatever, insert backend language and databases. You're not even gonna worry about front end, but don't try to combine the two because it's too much to learn and it's gonna take way too long for you to get hired. And full stack developer interviews, they're way harder, and it'll be tough to get.
No, and also just to elaborate, as to kind of course, I was just uh, I like Strappy in general. So my point was that basically, when you're usually there is this step where you finish, let's say, learning some kind of technology. I'll use React as an example. And what you want to do first is start building your own projects. And there's two things that are lacking. You're like, hey, listen, where I can get the ideas, and we have talked about this before already about the where basically you could get the ideas. And second is, well, how I'm gonna get the data, because usually in most cases when you're learning through tutorial whatever, you get some external API because that's what the instructor is using. Now, in some cases I make my own APIs basically so people can consume it, but in order to make that own project and whatever, you'll have to create that data somehow, because most likely whatever project you came up with, I mean, you'll need some kind of custom data. It's not going to be that easy just to find the API. Yes, there's certain APIs that are available, but in a lot of cases you'll have to like create something that's a little bit kind of custom for you. And that's where the headless CMS comes into play, and that's where you can fetch the data and everything. And yeah, so I definitely suggest that, and then it's going to be easier with Node as well, because you'll understand how everything works. We have here Marcelo. He's from Brazil, and he's saying remote jobs in US. I'm I hate to bear like bad news, but there's two things. First of all, if you're outside US, in most United States companies, they ask for pretty much your green card or citizenship, basically your immigration papers.
Yeah.
I very rarely hear that you can get anything close unless I mean, I'm assuming that there's a way for, let's say, if the company hires company in some other country, and
Yeah.
then of course devs work on that company, that's totally different. But
To
straight
be
for American company,
yeah,
that's gonna,
to go straight through is going to be really tough. But I think like you could look up for contracting companies that work with US based companies and see if that's the route for you to do. You know, but in terms of like even for people within US, even though there's like a lot of companies that like, oh, you could work remote, but the assumption is that you live local to where the company is. For instance, there's a couple of companies around here in Texas where you can work remote, but they still expect you to live in Texas. I mean, I'm sure there's like other companies where you could live wherever you want in US, but it's actually not uh, like not every company is remote. Some are hybrid, and then if you're trying to apply from another country, it's going to be very difficult. Like John said, they ask for your uh, green card and stuff like that. So,
Mhm.
but another avenue I would say, because there are smaller companies, like you could check out. I think it's called like angels.com or something like that. I forgot what the site, but it's basically a bunch of startups, and some startups might have like flexible ways of hiring people from outside. Um, but you could like try that approach. But like big companies that are established here, unless you go into like a contract role where there's a Brazilian company that, let's say, works with Microsoft or works with like whatever company, it'll be hard to get hired. By the way, I screen shared what Strappy looks like. If you want to throw that up for a second, I'll
Let me
quickly
see.
show.
Let me see. I'm
Yeah,
just
you'll.
like I'm thinking about like what in here. I just don't see the. I don't see underneath your. I basically have.
Uh, yeah, don't
Okay.
worry about it. Like, because I actually, to be honest, I have never done it, so I don't
No,
know
no,
like
no.
how that
Now it's
works.
up. Now it's up. Now it's up.
Yeah. Nice. Sweet. So, by the way, this is Strappy. If you haven't checked it out, you could go to strappy.io. Basically, it allows you to build apps fast by creating an API. You could use REST or GraphQL, whatever you want. It's highly customizable, open source. You could get the code. And basically, if you're learning front end and you want to have this amazing backend where you could add data for your front end application, go give Strappy a try. And if you have any questions, you could follow me at Coding After 30 YouTube channel. It supports any one of these front end frameworks that you could use. I do a lot of tutorials, so you could ask a lot of questions around that. But I just wanted to share it because this has been like really, really helpful for me when I was learning web development and wanted to build full stack applications while still being a front end developer.
Yeah, this is something that we have like discussed already quite a few times. But like basically, what's really cool about Strappy is the fact that you literally get as close as to real world as possible as far as setting up the requests, because that's the most important one. This is, I know that we keep repeating this over and over and over again, but literally this is that one step from building somebody else's application, your application. What's going to involve, it's going to involve a lot of requests. That's realistic because you'll have to fetch that data from somewhere. And that's where you set up the post requests, the put requests, the delete requests, or whatever. And of course, the get requests. And that's why. And let's say if you want to understand how the authentication works and all that kind of stuff, they literally show you basically the good example. So when you go to your Node application, you can just use it one to one, and you'll know that this actually works.
Yeah.
Sorry. What can you say about Vite? I believe that's the basically a framework, sort of framework that allows you to run React with less. I don't want dependent. Basically, it's a smaller version of Create React App. It's much faster. It's better. It doesn't take so many resources and all that. I mean, go for it. There seems to be kind of people keep more and more complaining about Create React App.
Yeah.
I would kind of my point is this, but listen, it's made by React team. So let's say if
Right.
you want to keep up to date, I know that other things will follow. Let's say if there's an update, then of course the Vite will also introduce that. But kind of for me, what's why I would choose Create React App, not obviously to create each and every application. If I know that I want to make something, let's say bigger than I would use Next.js or Remix.
Yeah.
But in general, if I want React application, why I would pick Create React App? Well, because it's made by React team. So I'm kind of at least, I don't know, like keep up to date, I guess, or whatever. No, so something along those lines. But you can
And
definitely use Vite.
yeah, they're making a lot of changes to React as well. So, I mean, it's only going to get better. But what I would say, if you've never done React, you'd still need to start, in my opinion, with Create React App to learn React, to know the basics, and then you could try out Vite. I do know some developers that kind of because they have a couple like startup templates, they like to use them to just get running like nice and fast. So like there's no complaints, but what I would say is like, what is your goal? Like, is your goal to build stuff for your personal clients, your friends, or is your goal to get a job? Now, if your goal is to get a job, to be honest, I don't know how many companies use Vite for their projects. But I would say if you're looking to get a job, learn React with Create React App, and then right away learn Next.js and build as much projects with Next.js or Create React App until you get hired. And once you get hired, you could explore whatever you want because you now are getting paid to code. But if you're just learning, like, is it worth it for you to try all this random stuff that might be awesome, but it won't guarantee you getting hired? So, like, I would always recommend if you don't have a job, like if you're not getting paid right now to code, you should only do HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Next.js, and possibly jump into TypeScript. And then you have all the skills that you need to get a job as a front-end developer. So start building things for your portfolio, like awesome things that kind of show your authority that you know what you're doing, and start applying until you get hired. And once you get hired, then you can learn whatever the heck you want because you're getting paid. But a lot of people, and this is the biggest mistake I made in my journey, I basically started learning to code when I was 36 years old. And it took me almost 4 years. It took me like 3.5 years to get my first job because I kept trying to go and learn things like Vite or other technologies because I was excited. But what I did is basically waste a lot of time because I didn't learn the fundamentals, the foundations that are needed to get hired. And so I don't want you to waste your time. If you're looking to get a job, if you don't have a job, I recommend HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Next, and TypeScript. That's all you need. And then just apply, build. But if you already have a job, yeah, then you're more than welcome to try Vite or any other technology, that you want.
Yeah, no, I'm looking right now at the docs. I mean, it's definitely something that you can use, and it looks very good and everything. I'm just, as far as getting hired, is this gonna help you? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I mean, it's something probably good to know, but if you can focus on more important things, then if you need to focus on those important things, then I would suggest doing that instead.
By the way, I'm going to agree with Francisco JS. He says John's Shopify MERN project is amazing. Yeah, I concur. That's a really good project.
Yes, thank you. I actually did updates to that. So now it's, I added 2 more features to it. And there's a deployment on the render now. So yes, Heroku stopped supporting the free tier, but I have to say, I actually like the render better. It has some really cool features that I really enjoy. It's much faster to deploy. It's easier to troubleshoot if something goes wrong. It literally shows you the terminal that you would get while you're working locally. One of the annoying things that for me and for students was that on Heroku you get some like very vague error message like H10. Okay, H10. So I go and find what is H10. And then of course after a while you're like, because if you get 5 of them and then you like try to troubleshoot, then already by the 10th time I'm like, okay, I understand what is H10. So probably such and such, there was issue with, I don't know, your Atlas connection or whatever. But like in the render, it tells you like you would have in your console, yeah, you cannot connect to this or whatever variable is missing or whatnot. So yeah, it's much faster.
So
Okay,
John, with that, before we go to the next question, what's your next thing you're going to build? And I'll tell you why I'm asking.
What's next thing I'm going to build?
Or what's next course? Are you going to, I know I got to put you on the spot. I know why, because I'm going to suggest something, which probably is going to be a stupid idea, but
basically I'm between Next.js and TypeScript, but people keep mentioning all the time Remix. That's already in the mix right now. So I want to say Next.js or TypeScript, simply because like with Next.js, I'm just like looking at it. It's pretty much there seems to be an update every year, and I think that's going to be the case with them. So for me, as I'm looking at it, I don't think that I'm going to create like 40-hour course on it, because like by the time I'm going to be done, like I'm over exaggerating right now, but I would need to update again. So I need to kind of come up with very kind of concise, where I cover all the bases, we build the project, but it's not going to be a 15 project course.
I wonder if TypeScript would make more sense. But because the reason why I say this is because Next.js 13 is going to be TypeScript first. Ooh. And so I think like doing TypeScript first would make more sense. And then also why it makes sense, because Remix is TypeScript first. Even though you could use vanilla JavaScript, that's what I'm doing because I don't know TypeScript that well. But I think TypeScript is definitely popular and a lot of people, kind of excited about it. And I think you do TypeScript and then do Next.js 13 when it's out of beta, whatever people want to say, it's still like in beta. And by the time you finish your TypeScript course, Next.js, I think, will be like ready to go. And then you could do Next 13. And for all the remix content, people could just go to my channel, right?
And your course.
Yeah. I should work. No, but this is the thing I want to say. Like what I wanted to do just for fun, and I'm only going to say for fun because I don't think if I'll like get to it, but I really want to see, and I'm not saying I'm upset, John. I'm just saying that I think for your MERN class, we should do like a PERN section where you use Postgres instead of MongoDB. And maybe you don't do it because you're going to be too busy doing TypeScript, but maybe I could take that course and just convert it to use Postgres. And I know a lot of people say that, oh, it's harder to set up Postgres on your local computer. It may be true, but there's one instance which you could do is you could set up your database in Docker with pgadmin. And so that way you could just share that image with people and they could just connect to that. So you could have a Docker image which has Postgres on it already. And so that way people will always have the same environment and you don't have to try to troubleshoot people how to set it up on like their Mac, their Linux, or whatever. It's just, they just fire up that Docker and they could connect their application to that. And I think that might be an interesting idea. Nothing's wrong with MongoDB, but I think learning an SQL database is a very important. It's just as important as learning TypeScript.
No, I would agree with you on that one, but I'm just like, for me, it comes down to like the fact that you definitely need to spend some time on essential like SQL commands, just so everyone's up to date. Otherwise, it's
Yeah.
just like saying like, "Hey, this is what you need to do," and then
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. I should probably put on some like SQL content in context of like using JavaScript with SQL or like React or Remix. I mean, all the same. Yeah, maybe I'll think about it. I think that's a good
Do
idea.
you use much SQL right now when you're
Yeah.
with Strappy?
We only use SQL. We don't even support Mongo anymore.
So,
Why? Because it's such a small number of our customers that use MongoDB
uh,
that it makes no sense for our team to spend all this effort to support it, where like 95% or more of our clients use SQL databases.
oh, that makes sense. So pretty
Yeah.
much when you're doing something custom with Strappy, you're always
Yeah, it's
writing the
always, yeah, we're
SQL.
using Postgres. You could use like the good news, we have a query abstraction layer, and then we have entity services, which make it very easy for you to add content and do all that filtering and pagination and stuff like that. So you don't have to write like raw like SQL queries. You can if you wanted to, but we have that kind of abstraction layer that makes it easier.
Hmm.
But definitely from what I saw, like anybody looking to get hired, like working with a SQL, like Postgres or SQL or any one of the structured databases, it's super important because that's what majority people are deploying in like companies. And that's the only reason I keep saying that. MERN is like very popular. There's a lot of courses on like everywhere, and it makes sense. It's still good for like learning purposes, but I feel like having also an option for Postgres, I think it's really cool. I might do like a mini like exploration of SQL with Node. I think that'll be cool. So
Okay, we're
yeah,
like seriously behind on the questions I
let's
just
do it.
checked.
Let's get back to
So
questions. It's great.
yeah, but this is gonna be your favorite, and now we'll have to spend 1 minute on it. But I can tell right away before reading the question, the answer is yes. Guys, I'm 40, going on 41. Let me put it on the screen, just so everyone can see how I'm messing up. How realistic is it for me to try and get into front end dev? Very realistic. I've been
Yeah.
lawyer for 8 years, and my main motivation is to be able to work overseas. I'm from South Africa. Let me see. I think there was technically another, but I couldn't understand how that is related. Squad reporting. Yeah. It's maybe some kind of emoji again, which again I'm not seeing
Yeah.
in my chat. It's very realistic. I just today talked to the guy who's 50 and who learned everything and got a job. But again, it depends a lot on your the work, basically your local job market. It depends highly on that. In some places it's booming, and some it's maybe slower or
Yeah.
whatever. It depends. If you're planning to go somewhere, I still probably would suggest going to the place first. I don't hear of many cases where, let's say, company hires you and then they essentially just move you to that country or whatever.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
usually the other way. You need to go to the country, and
And then
then
apply.
once you can work there, then you can go there and work.
The hardest thing when you're older, and I just want to put that caveat there, and for me, I'm blessed in the sense that I'm divorced. My daughter is 24 years old, and yeah, I'm in my 40s, but I don't have any family responsibilities. And the reason I say I'm blessed, because the reality, and I'm not saying do the things that I did, I wish I was still not divorced, to be honest, but what I'm saying is that when you're older and you have family responsibilities, you have all the stuff you're dealing with, it's going to be like a decision that not only you have to make, but you have to make as your family. And you have to understand that you can't, unless you have a situation where maybe you have plenty of savings or whatever, but you won't be able to quit one thing to go to do another one. Like one biggest mistake is like, don't quit your day job. And so kind of create a realistic expectations of what you need to learn. And you will have to basically work a job and study part-time, and then really hustle and be really, really focused. And one of the reasons, like for me, why I had relationship problems is because even though I was honest about the fact that, hey, my time is going to spend working And when I'm not working, I'm going to have to be studying. Are you okay with that? And she was like, yeah, I'm okay. But she wasn't. And that created a lot of tension, because literally it was 2.5 years where I was literally working and studying. And sometimes that commitment could be too much. And the reason I say that is because I want people to like have a realistic explanation. It's not impossible, but you have to be willing to do the work. And so I got hired at 39. It's not that far from where you are. And I know, like John was saying, there's someone in their 50s making the transition. It's all possible, but please don't think like there's like it's a magic bullet where you just take a pill, you take it, and all of a sudden you have this amazing job. It takes time, and you will literally have to work your way back up. I'll give you an example. In my journey, prior to starting learning to code, I used to run a successful Brazilian jiu-jitsu school. I was making pretty good money. Depending on the year, I would make between like 90 to like almost 100K a year just running my Brazilian jiu-jitsu school. I worked literally my own schedule. It was like a lot of fun. When I got my job working as a web developer, I took a huge pay cut. I literally started back at the bottom. My first job working as a developer, which don't ever work for this low amount of money, but my first job was literally getting paid $13.75. And then a year later, like I was able to make 25. And then 6 months later, I was able to make 45, and then so on. And it took like a span of 3 years to get to a point where I was making almost as much money as I did back at my other job. And so you have to keep that in consideration, especially if you have a family, is that, look, like you're literally starting something new, and you may watch YouTube videos where they say you're going to make six figures. You're not going to make six figures on your first job. I hate to break it to you. Depending on the area, you might literally start 50 to 60 your first year. At some areas, it's even lower. Like it could be like 40 to 50. And then your second year, maybe like 60 to 70. And then your third year might be 80 to 90, and so on. But a lot of people on YouTube, they make these fantasy scenarios where it gets all of you like excited. But the reality, it's a lot of work. You have to do it. So is it impossible? No, it's not. But it's going to be hard. But in my opinion, it's really worth it. But you do have to have like a really good plan. And you have to make sure, if you have a family, a spouse, you got to make sure that they're all on the same side. So that's like the only huge caveat that I would give.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible and doable. There's not, but it's hard. Like if people think that you can literally get, an extremely good pay for no college, right? So you don't have to finish college, nothing. You can learn everything yourself. But that's what makes it hard. You actually have to go through that. It's not going to be like, oh, I just sat down and spent 2 hours on studying, and now here they're offering me 100K. No, you can do all those things. It's possible. It's not a pipe dream, but at the same time, it's not like it's portrayed that, oh, the only thing you need to do is half an hour commitment and you're good to go. It's not going to work that way. So you do need to. First of all, what I always say to people is, listen, I'm the biggest advocate for the fact that this is a job. It doesn't mean that you need to love it, right? I really enjoy it, and most people who do it. But again, at the end of the day, it is a job. So if you're just doing it for money, you can do it for money. But like Alex said, Alex was here some time ago. We had it on show. He said, listen, money is a good motivator, but it really needs to motivate you in some, at some specific points. Otherwise, you're just gonna drop it. So if that's your motivation, it's one thing. But in my case, it was different. I just enjoy the job, and yes, I was happy to work for less money as a dev than my previous job, like way less. But I was like ecstatic. I was like, this is way better than what I was doing before. So. Yeah, that's kind of the long way. The short answer is yes. Okay, up next, we have Jason. Hi, guys. Any thoughts or tips on the job market for the new devs? Hearing about hiring freezes and layoffs at places like Twitter. So in general, there's nothing, unfortunately, Jason, that I like. There's no magic, like that I can, magic bullet that I can, I don't know, provide or whatever. it's, I mean, it's. I don't think that the people being laid off at Twitter is gonna affect as far as for jobs for new devs. I don't think so. But as far as the freezes, it's pretty much the same thing. You just
Yeah.
learn, study, do the work, and hope that in a month or two, then people are looking for work. It also
Yeah.
depends on like time of the year. Around Christmas, people
It's bad.
don't
Yeah. The
hire.
budgets are done. Yeah.
Then they
Nobody's
start
hiring
doing
anybody,
it.
but
So
in the new year.
yeah. So, but I don't. I personally don't see that it's like no one's hiring. But I mean, yeah. As the economy goes, so does the opportunities. Yes, they might get lower, less opportunities. There's a real. Unfortunately, there's no. It is tied to economy. So if economy goes up, then
Yeah.
yeah, more. If not, then it goes down.
The one thing that John and I always talk about, a lot of times it's also about who you know. So this ability of how good are you at networking, making friends, going to meetups, getting into like developer circles to try to find someone who will refer you to a company. And I just recently did a podcast with Luke, who actually one of the tricks he uses to find opportunities, instead of applying directly to companies, he found, I forgot what the Texan something tech system, whatever. There's like huge contracting company. There's a bunch of them. And basically what you do is you can go and contact that contracting companies. A lot of times what they do is they'll give you a bunch of tests to see where you're at, and then they will actually place you in a company. So that's one way to work around. Another one I would say is that what are you doing to make it easier to work with recruiters? Like for instance, let me give you a scenario. And I just started recently thinking about it, so it's not completely thought out. But let's say you have some dude, Bob, here, right? And Bob is like, okay, I'm just going to send my resume to a bunch of companies and hope for the best. And then you have, Bob number two, because I'm really unoriginal with names. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to contact recruiters and tell them to like, give me a job, right? And then you have Bob 3, another original name, who basically found a site like HackerRank or some other one of these testing websites, and he took a bunch of tests where he scored really high, like on his JavaScript, on his like whatever. He printed the results. There's actually paid sites that you could take web development test or software engineering test, that you could literally pay money, take the test, and if you get a high result, you could like use it as like social proof, like, hey, I know what I'm doing. And what you do is you create a good portfolio. You have a good like resume, or like a portfolio website. You have this test that you took that shows like, hey, you did really good at like, front end JavaScript development or whatever it is. I'm just using an example. And when you go to the recruiter, instead of showing up empty handed, you show up with your test result. You have a kick butt portfolio. Your projects looks good. You're able to talk about your code, and you say, hey, this is the test that I got. The scores on high. Here's the projects I built. I feel like I'm going to be a really good candidate. And so if you have a test you would like me to take me seriously, like I would like to take it now. So don't show up empty handed, and basically try to come up with whatever that way for you is to make a recruiter's job easier, right? Like for instance, if a recruiter goes to your LinkedIn and you have nothing there, they're just going to be like, oh, forget it. But if you go to a recruiter and you give them all this work up front that they don't have to do, they're like, oh, he's pre-qualified. He has a good portfolio. He knows how to talk about code. Let me give him a chance. I'm not saying that it's going to work with everybody, but it will increase your chances because you're being proactive. You're not waiting. And I think that approach is the best approach. Why? Because you're doing more than what's expected. Like a normal person might just throw a bunch of resumes up and then wait for a year, 2 years and never get hired. But you're taking that extra step. You're being proactive and you're doing what it takes to put yourself out there to get hired. So a lot of people will say, hey, there's no jobs, nobody's hiring. And my answer to them will be like, well, how many jobs did you apply to? What is your approach when you're being rejected? Are you asking things you need to improve? Are you improving the things that people pointing out you need to improve? Do you have like social proofs, like a test that you took or something, like all these extra things that anybody could do, but most people don't. So what you need to do is constantly battle this game of standing out. And I don't know every strategy, but some of the strategies that I mentioned is I heard from some other people that use them. And moving forward, that's actually like what I would do. because I would want to present the best foot forward and try to stand above the competition who's not willing to take those extra steps.
Yeah, and my only addition to this would be going to meetups. It's really
Yeah,
like
yep.
it's like with what Paul just said. Like he started with that point. It's who you know. As cruel as it may sound, that's the reality. So if you can attend meetups, it's gonna do like a lot of good things for you. You'll meet people. You'll understand what the local job market is like, what they're looking for, what's the how you can get an advantage and all that. So yeah, it's definitely way more useful, like we always say, than instead of watching some guy on YouTube talk about it. So,
Hold on, I want to quickly take this question. I know it's not in order, so I apologize. But Marcelo says, "Is it still worth studying Bootstrap?"
no,
I think I
wouldn't.
think I would stay away from it unless you're using like C#. I think they're still in their info whatever system that they use when they're building C# projects. They still use Bootstrap. But honestly, learn CSS and be familiar with like Sass. And basically, if you are going to pick up a framework, I think Tailwind would be
Yep,
the one
Tailwind
that
all
we
day,
choose
every day.
all
Yeah,
day
yeah.
long, all day, every day.
Because
You know,
that seems to be where the industry is going. So
yeah.
in 1 to 2 years, you'll still kind of won't lose everything that you learn as far as the Bootstrap, because yeah, I don't see Bootstrap being the way it was. It's pretty much going down in popularity, and I don't see that kind of uh, changing at all. So I think it's going to be less and less. Not to
Yeah.
be like negative, but as far as Bootstrap or Tailwind, I definitely would pick Tailwind.
Yeah, I wanted to quickly, I know I kind of forgot because I started talking about Tailwind and I forgot to mention, yes, go to, just like you said, go to meetups. I just went to a couple of meetups, and one of the things that I noticed a lot of meetups do after it's over, they actually have someone who'll stand up and be like, hey, my company is hiring. Anybody would like to share their resume, please contact me. So that's definitely a good way to network, and you don't have to go in person. There's plenty of them to go online as well.
Yeah, but as far as just to finish this one off, as far as Twitter, I don't know. I think it's like with all due respect, I don't think those people will be sitting without a job for too long. So it's not. I understand it sucks to lose the job, and I'm not standing here and like pretending that it's nothing. But at the same time, you have to understand that they work for
Huge company
very
that
known companies. So
anybody would like to steal those developers.
they will land on very nice soft cushions, and everything's gonna
Here's
be
another thing.
fine.
Like I heard a lot of people complaining, and I was like, oh my God, that's so unfortunate, so unfair. And then I saw, and I don't know if it's true, but everybody who's being laid off, they have a 3 months paid severance package. So they could not work for 3 months and still get the same amount of money they did as if they were working. So not only do they get the severance, but they have 3 months of not working, which they could take to find another job. And like John said, like the quality of developers that work on Twitter, I mean, it's a serious company. They're definitely going to get hired. If anything, they're going to be hired before you and I, you know what I mean? Because of their
Yeah.
skill that they have. So I wouldn't
No,
worry too
because
much.
it's
But it
just like it's
sucks
kind of
though, you know?
it's extremely suck, but it's like it's kind of well, this is how it work stuff works in real life. I mean,
Yeah.
some companies, either they like go out of business or they being bought up by another company or whatever. So
Speaking of working, I saw another comment. Yura asked, "Where do you work?" So let's start with you, John. Where do you work?
coding addict,
Coding addict,
all day
exactly.
long, every day.
Let me ask you, how can you get fired from coding addict? Let me ask you
Well,
that
I mean,
question.
there's like,
By not doing my work, right? Like by not waking up and doing these courses.
no,
So
I mean yeah, it's one of the. I mean, this is we did the whole episode of working for yourself and working versus working for the company,
yeah,
where you're from one part you're 100% responsible for your own paycheck. If you don't work,
yeah.
there's like if
So
you
no
don't work, you
paycheck.
don't eat.
You don't need exactly. That's
So,
why you're so skinny. I get it now.
yeah,
Makes
skinny,
sense.
skinny.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Compared to me, I'm like
Yeah, no.
fluffy.
No, coding addict all day long. It's
Yeah.
been a while, like already, I don't know, already 5 years, I think, something like
Yeah,
that.
that's amazing. Yeah. And so for me, like I work at Strappy, which I love, and I'm going to work there for a long time. But at the same time, on my free time, I'm trying to figure out how to build a SaaS, uh, project where I could literally transition to working for myself. And I feel like it's the hardest thing to do, but there is no thing as job security because anything could happen if you work for another company. And so for me, like even though I have a nice job, I can't settle on that nice job because I know that it's not going to last forever. And the only thing I could control is like, do I keep improving my skills to make myself more hireable, or even better, can I get to a point where I could start my own business and do my own thing, right? And that's another hard thing to do. But yeah, if we talk about job security, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It's like you're gonna have to work hard, and you have to understand that there's never that feeling like I made it. You're always going to, especially in this field, continue to better yourself, continue to learn new technologies, to continue to improve, to make sure that you're staying relevant and hireable. Like for instance, everybody who got laid off from Twitter, like John said, like they're going to get hired. They have the skill. They have, they might not work at Twitter, but they might go to Facebook. They might go to Google. They might go to other like FANG companies. And like for us, like we have to understand, like, hey, like if we don't continue growing and we lose our job, are we still able to get a job? And if you continue to learn, continue to do a little bit, yeah, that's one thing I love about software development is that it is a field that's in demand. So if you're continuing every year doing something to grow yourself, you're always going to stay relevant. You're always going to be hireable. But for me, like the next step is to get to a point where John is, where it's work for myself and have my own business or software company or SaaS product.
No, this is something that you see like quite often. Like, okay, let me use maybe a little bit stupid example, but how many people you see actually that have worked for major companies, right? So some bigger, some smaller companies, and yet they start doing YouTube videos. They start getting the decent money. Let's say their channel picks it up, and they right away switch to working for yourself. There is something addictive about it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you that there's something like once you start kind of getting like kind of start managing everything and things are working as you expect, then yeah, it's way different. The reason why I'm talking about it because I know you have talked to him. Dorian Develops, I
Yeah,
believe his
it's
channel.
phenomenal.
He
Phenomenal.
just
Switched.
yeah, he just switched and
Amazing.
he went traveling all around the world with
Yeah,
kids,
it's
and I just
fantastic.
saw the videos. But I mean, also like he worked for a company, then he made a YouTube channel. He started doing like really good videos. His videos are picking up. His channel is like going up. And of course, the first decision that he made is
By
like,
by
I'm just working for
by
myself.
the way,
See ya.
I joined his channel when he had like 1100 subscribers, and
Yeah,
like he's putting the work, he's putting the
yeah,
hustle.
yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
the thing that I'm going to tell you all, by the way. It's easier to get a job and make money with software engineering than it is starting a YouTube channel. And
Yeah.
so even if you ask John, he'll tell you that he's not making majority of his money off of YouTube.
Nope.
And so Dorian, like he's working extra hard. The thing that I was going to say, like, because a lot of people, like I have a YouTube channel and people like, are you ever going to be a YouTuber? And the answer is no. For me, I want to make sure that I'm always able to get hired as a software engineer, and I much rather be able to start my own company and my product. And the reason being is because the issue when you become big on YouTube, you will have to make content that is relevant to YouTube. And a lot of that is stupid videos that don't really provide a lot of value. I guess they do provide entertainment value, but because you have to understand, like the things that are going to get ads are the things that are going to be watched. And a lot of times people want to watch things that are exciting, entertaining. Like I'll give you an example. When I do live coding videos, nobody watches those because nobody cares. But if I do like some stupid video about an opinion, people love opinions, and that's the one that gets more watched. But the idea I'm saying, if you're going to be a YouTuber, you're going to have to basically work towards the YouTube algorithm. And for me, that's one reason why I won't be a YouTuber, because I only want to produce content that I want to produce. And that might not be the content that YouTube likes. And I might try to start a business or a company that will allow me to grow. And hence, that's why I'm building Dev Hunt, my project that I want to eventually turn into a business. And if it fails, This is the cool part. If it fails, guess what? I still became a better developer because I'm using developer skills to build this business. By building this business, I'm learning new skills. So regardless if this business succeeds or not, I'm going to be a better developer that will allow me to stay hireable. And so one day it's either I'm going to build a successful business and do what John does, be self-employed, or I'm going to continue work for companies because my skill keeps growing because I'm building these projects. So I'm not trying to like kind of put one egg in one basket, but I'm trying to do both things at the same time. And some people don't want to do that, which is fine. Like some people just want to work their job and then come home and not worry about anything else, hang out with their family. And that's very awesome. But I am very, very happy for Dorian because I've been doing this YouTube thing and it's so hard that I'm more impressed that he was able to succeed on YouTube than he was able to get hired as a developer, because that is super hard to do.
Yeah, but this actually, and I'm sorry that we're skipping the questions we keep talking about.
We'll get them.
This one, we'll get there. We have to finish in 5 minutes. But
we can do 10 minutes. 10 minutes. It's fine.
I mean, this is really up to you because, again, I want to repeat.
Let's do 10 minutes. Let's do 8:35. 8:35.
So Paul is doing the live stream right after this one.
9 p.m. 9 p.m.
So
US,
everyone who wants to see him live code, which is going to be way more interesting than the.
No, well, don't set high expectations for something that's going to basically watch a grown man cry in front of his keyboard. That's basically what's going to happen. I'm going to be crying the whole time.
No, but this, like, what brings me back to Dorian, what you can clearly see is one of those things that he had like a lot of experience before. He went into software and he was able to utilize it, because this is what I always keep saying, that whatever you learn before in your life, before you start software, it's actually very helpful for you, because the difference here is going to be it's a better field to be in, right? You can be as good as you want to be in some field that just doesn't pay much, and there's nothing you can do. You can pull yourself up by bootstraps all day long and nothing is going to work, because that actual field that you're working is just, they don't pay you enough, they maybe don't appreciate you enough and whatever. But once you bring your skills into this, you can clearly see that he knew what he was doing. He was like, okay, I need to make videos in such a way, I need to do this, bum, 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 bum.
Smart.
And right away he did it. Like, I would never be able to come up with so many ideas. That's the one reason why I never would be like good at YouTube, because I'm just like, I cannot be every week coming up with stuff. He's all the time delivering. So that's the difference.
What I was going to say, though, the coolest thing about Dorian's story, let's say he completely loses his YouTube channel. He could still go back.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, he was like,
exactly, and that just blows my mind. You know, it's amazing. Smart dude. I'm very happy for him. You know?
Yeah. No. He's super. And for me, he's also his family situation with 2 kids, and like, so that's really like curious and interesting for me to see how he does it. So I guess we're not gonna go one by one. Then the questions we'll have to skip. I just want to know my further roadmap after JS. Should I start React, or should I learn some JS stuff before React? Start React. If you already completed at least some kind of course and whatever on JavaScript, right away start React, and then as you're learning React, you'll see what's necessary. In my course, I even pretty much every time that when we're starting React topic, if there's JS, I show you where you can get more info on that specific JavaScript topic. So that way, you don't have to spend another, 30 days learning and then literally not knowing even what you need to learn for React. That's about that. Byron had a funny one. He's like, about your divorce.
Yeah, he just got married. Yeah, he.
Come on, Paul. I just got married. Now you're telling me I need to be.
Yeah, Brian is an awesome dude. When I went back to Connecticut to see my family, me and him hung out, and he.
Brian. Sorry, I said Brian.
Yeah, Brian. Maybe I was saying it the whole time wrong, and he never corrected me. But anyway, we hung out. It was awesome. He's a excellent musician. He's also in a band. Really cool kid. And it was like a lot of fun.
Yes, Brian. If you want to get into dev, you need to be single. I'm not single, but you have to be.
You have to be.
That's
the
a requirement
thing,
right now.
This is the crazy thing about Brian and I. We met, and this you would never ever guess. We met at Manchester Community College when we were both taking public speaking course where if you think this is natural to me, the way I'm able to talk, it is not true. Back then, I was frightened of talking and speaking in public. I would literally freeze and I would stutter and I would be like, but after like 20 years of teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and constantly talking to students, and then that's how I developed this ability to speak. So if a lot of people like Paul's lucky because he speaks or he's not able to shut up, I could be a superpower, I guess. But it's all with like practice. But it was cool. Like that's where we met. It was awesome. A lot of good times.
A lot of good times in Connecticut.
That's right.
Yeah.
The dark, bitter winters of going to your car and trying to chisel the ice off. That's why I moved to Texas. Screw Connecticut. Sorry, Brian. Sorry.
Yeah, but I do want to say one thing, and like people from Texas don't take it personally, but everybody makes out to be that like Texas is super friendly. And I honestly, like, we literally drove the whole thing. We drove from El Paso.
Austin is super
We
friendly.
went to, there's called Odessa City. Then we went to Dallas, then to Houston, and then we went out. I don't know, Dallas, yeah, the people were like, when once we arrived in the hotel and whatever, they were like you could see like, okay, that's Texas friendly or however.
Did you tell people that's because you had California plates on?
Well, they wouldn't see that. They did, yeah, on the highway we did get
like,
some birds. Oh, they were not there. Yeah,
Austin would have been a good place for you to stop by too. Like
no, and by the way, in Florida, in the beginning when we had plates as well, we were like they were beeping us. They were not happy. So now we have Florida plates, so now we're just kind of blending in. We're like, don't know anything,
which is crazy. People go nuts.
Yeah, no, but today in the gym, I went in there and I'm like, something. I just moved from Cal, and he's like, where you moved from? Like, California. It's like, well, we're getting a lot of those these days.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, not much I can do. But okay, so that was React stuff. Okay, so we have 32. We have 3 minutes now. What is project, MERN project? There was one about CSS. Any good Next courses you recommend? There's.
I think he's just trying to be like, John, when is your next JS course coming out? But
yeah, no, there's quite a few. I would say there's for sure one. If you go on YouTube, basically the YouTube? Udemy. If you go, there's most bought one. That I think that's a decent one. Yeah. Blah blah blah. Let me challenge you. Go for TypeScript. Yes, TypeScript, Bootstrap, Pern.
Let me do one question here. Mo22, why people are only interested in JS technologies and not in others like Net, Java, and Ruby? Honestly, if you're going for enterprise, I would stay away from Ruby, but Java and .NET with C# definitely makes sense. And I had last live stream or 2 live streams ago, I had Luke on. Go to Coding After 30 YouTube channel and find the stream about Luke. It says from fired to hired. He literally talks about how he got a job by doing .NET and C#. And there's definitely a market for it. So what I would say is that whatever you decide to learn, there's jobs for it. Just check in your area to make sure in your area they're popular. But you can't go wrong with JavaScript. You can't go wrong with Net and C#. You can't go wrong with Java. There are jobs for big popular languages. For me, I just happen to love React and JavaScript, and that's why I did. But I also did C# and ASP.NET. And to be honest with you, if that's something that you have interest in because you want to work for enterprise level companies, that's something you would do. And what's very common with C# and ASP.NET world or Java world for their framework, a lot of them use Angular because that's what a lot of the enterprise companies use. But no, there's nothing wrong with that, 100%.
No, by the way, there was going around, at least I think I reposted it on the Twitter. There was a guy who actually went kind of against the grain, where instead of going for JavaScript technologies, he went all out on PHP. Essentially, He just picked the course and he's like, look, I'm going to have less competition if I go with PHP. And he was, he got hired, which is really, really good. But the downside of that approach is, yes, you can definitely use that approach, but you for sure then you're kind of you're making your own road, because no, like if it's less people there, then you also need to decide on your own. Okay, what resources that I'm going to use. I need to make sure that actually I'm hireable, because if you're going with technology that no one hires in the local area, yeah, okay, you have less competition. But let's say if you only have 5 jobs that you're applying to, that's also kind of, I mean, and let's say for JavaScript you have 100 jobs. I mean, of course, I don't know situation in every area, but if you see that that's the case, that you can get hired with different technology, I would swear it wouldn't be a requirement for me
Yeah.
to use only JavaScript. But these days, I mean, you will get more options.
Yeah, and Jason, quick question. He said, where's a good place to find meetups to go locally or virtually? I posted the link. It's basically meetup.com. That's the one that I use. And that's how I found all my local meetups. And a lot of those local meetups are hybrid. So they'll do in person or online. One of the ones that I go to often now is Remix Austin, but they also do online version of that as well. So check that out. I put it on YouTube in the comments.
Okay, one last question. Can we do one last question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have, hey guys, I'm almost done watching John's React course and tutorial. One of my friends recommended going for Node and Express Next. Is there a big difference between those two and Next and TypeScript? I definitely suggest going for Next and TypeScript next, because that way you stick with technology, you stick with front-end technologies. Again, if you really want to just create the content so you can make some good project without any kind of jokes, use Strappy, set up the data,
CMS,
fetch it.
CMS,
You don't have to start like with the Node and Express and all that. You can create your own server like way faster and move on to the Next in TypeScript, because that way you'll be more hireable, because you'll know the actual front-end
100%.
technologies. And
Yes,
then
100%.
later, if you really want to build your own or whatever, then that's a different story.
Don't go full stack. It's like that movie that's not politically correct anymore, Tropic Thunder. I'm not going to repeat
That
the
is
line,
very,
but
very unpolitically
yeah,
correct.
go watch that movie
these
now. The
days.
greatest comedy movie ever. But don't go full stack because you're just gonna not get hired either back end or front end, because it's by nature full stack is not a junior position. I would recommend go front end if you want to get hired quickly. But if you hate front end, you hate design, you might rather like look at data, you want to mess with like how to deploy stuff, you could go back end. But back end involves like literally spending a lot of time in back end code and working with databases. So if that's not fun for you, like just definitely go front end. But I think with that being said, it is time for me to go. So John, thank you so much. All of you in the comments, thank you so much. I'm going to be streaming on my channel in about 23 minutes, Coding After 30, 9 p.m. US Central Time. If you want to see a grown man cry while coding, that's the place for you. And I also stream Saturday mornings, 11 a.m. Why? Because
what's the topic for this week?
This week, I didn't come up with a topic, but most likely I'm going to talk about tips of breaking in and getting hired by being more proactive.
Yeah, if you want to see how one guy can just talk smoothly talk for 2 hours, a lot of times.
2 hours, yeah, true.
So yeah, thank you everyone who showed up. Thank you everyone.
Lots of love. Thank you everybody.
Yeah, for everyone who participated, asked the questions, collect on a like button and all that.
Yeah,
greatly appreciate it.
Everybody quickly smash the like button before I go. Just so I could feel better about myself. Quickly, go now. Go smash the like button like you didn't smash it before. I'm waiting. I'm not going to go until at least like 50 billion likes.
There was one.
Perfect. Yeah. That counts. Fine. We'll take it.
Yeah. So thank you, Paul. Thank you everyone who showed up. And yeah, we'll see you next time. We'll try to do this as a Friday night thing, where every Friday night we'll try to do it at 8:30. But we'll see. I mean, maybe if something changes and all that. Okay. Have a good one. Gotta go. Bye.